Hello and welcome back to the fourth day here, the Thursday of PEC, week one of this spring semester. Some Super Smash Brothers coming out at you tonight. I'm Ryan Blankenhorn, and joining me just as last night, Carson Cass. Carson, how you feeling tonight, my friend?
It's delightful to be here again, Ryan. I'm really excited to do my first Smash stream for Syracuse Esports. This is going to be electric. We've got two teams in very interesting spots as we jump into this fall semester here. Well, jump out of the fall semester, into the spring semester and approach this in a completely different way. Syracuse on a 3-game skid after starting the season off 3-1, lose 3 in a row. It's not where you want to be right now. Kansas, the absolute opposite, on a 3-1 in their last 4 record. They're doing an excellent job, and Syracuse has to stop that fire from the Jayhawks.
Yeah, I mean, you think about how Syracuse and Kansas has played this weekend, been relatively equal, right? Overwatch had a close series, fell short on Tuesday. Valorant had relatively close matches in games 1 and 2, but in the end, won out at a 2-0 series. Now we got Smash tonight on this Thursday, and also Rocket League will play in on the side. We may be able to get some scores for you later as that goes on. But, Smash tonight, right, for Kansas and Syracuse. Last time they played, Kansas took the win 2-0 against the Syracuse roster here. And, I mean, you got to think about that sometimes, right? I mean, with this Kansas team, they're kind of exactly where Syracuse is, right? Both these teams, both these universities, right there on that cusp of sort of being in that nice, comfortable spot in the middle of the rankings here. But only one of these teams really can take that middle spot before able to go on to the Boise States and the Michigan States in the PEC, right? So it really is a battle of who is gonna really take that one. And tonight we're gonna have to see that between Kansas and Syracuse.
And look, Syracuse took it to Boise already in this season. They started the year off with a 2-1 win, a very contested matchup to open the year. And it went great from there. They got up to 3-1, and it just fell apart. Now they're 3-4, back on their heels. This team's looking for any momentum they can get out of this. But they've been practicing. They've obviously had that fall semester. For some teams, it's worked out. But for Kansas, it's worked out as well, as we saw in Overwatch. Sorry, bud.
Yeah,
very close matchups we've had between those Jayhawks and Lawrenson, but it's going to be really interesting. This is going to be a very big game to see how the season plays out. A win for Kansas cements them towards the top of the mid-table and potentially taking the fight to Ohio State next week, who Kansas has proved they can beat. They didn't beat them earlier in the season, but they did bring them very close, very close stocks after watching that VOD. They are extremely close in talent. Kansas could come out here and be 6-3 if they win tonight by the end of next week. They really have to lock in tonight, though, and get the job done. For our Orange, it's the same thing. You're down 3-4. You lose now. You're going to go down to the bottom of the table, and you're going to be basically trying to claw yourself out. You've got a tough matchup against Boise in 2 weeks. You've got Ohio State next week. I apologize, Kansas, not Ohio State next week. We do. But you have to go into that and understand, what are we going to do? We need to win tonight. This is a must-win for the Orange, as is every game to me, but this is especially one. You don't want to go down on a 4-game skid. It's going to be demoralizing. And starting the semester off with a right foot forward instead of the left foot back, it'd be great.
Yeah, it would be demoralizing, but one thing that probably is up on morals here at Syracuse is the new center, right here in the Shine Gaming and Esports Center. Obviously, Smash having their time to hear play on broadcast. Their first match here on this stage. We take a look at them setting up. A little bit, if you've tuned in at all this week, a little bit of a different camera setup, right? Instead, Smash, the way it works, the fighting game community, a lot more connected, a lot closer together, and all gathered around that one screen, right? So when you take a look at Valorant or Overwatch or Rocket League, we get those individual face cams. But here we get to see all those players nice and grouped up together on that stage. We've talked about it a few times already. I know they talked about it on Tuesday. We talked about it last night. We'll talk about it here again tonight, is that new pressure, right? Yes, it is wonderful to have such an amazing space to play in, to compete in, and, really set a new staple for collegiate esports, but it's also a little bit stressful, right? Being up there for the first time, having to sort of learn your way, learn the ropes of, how to set the things up, how to play with the lights in your face, with the loud noises going on. It is a big change of scenery.
It is. And it's Thursday Night Lights. You are now, if you want to call it that, you are now under the prospect of everybody in this room.
Yep.
And it can come down to the wire. And for me personally, I think atmosphere is a big thing. I hope we can get the goal horn going for every stock we take off the other team. That's a personal preference. It'd be great. I love the use of the goal horn for some other sports, so it'd be cool to implement it for everything we see. But the space is amazing. If you are a Syracuse student who is watching from home, or I guess your dorm, maybe from home. I don't know where you are right now.
Home, apartment.
Wherever you are right now, come to the Shine Gaming and Esports Center. It is beautiful here. Is plenty of stuff to do. You can play Smash, which we're about to very shortly here. But again, reiterating on Syracuse right now, they're 3-4, 42% win percentage, -2 win differential. Kansas is almost the opposite, 57% win percentage, 4-3 with a 2 positive round differential. These teams are very close and very even, but last time they met, didn't go so well for the Orange.
Yeah, it didn't go too well, right? Falling short 2-0 in this series. And just before we really talk about the Syracuse roster, which I do want to get back into here in a second, I do want to remind everyone how the Smash sort of bracket, the Smash tournament, the match will actually go about. So it's a best-of-3 series, so first to 2 will take the series, just like last night for Valorant. Best of 3, first to 2 will win it. But it's a little bit different, right? How it works, there are 4 players on each of the Smash rosters. Each of those 4 players have 3 stocks within the game. So it is a 12 stock crew battles, what it comes down to be, 3 stocks for 4 players. Whoever knocks out all those 12 stocks first will take that first map, if you will, or match, and then they go into match number 2, and then continue forward until whoever makes 2 games to win the series. So that is what you'll see tonight as we go into it, but you know, when it comes to Syracuse, some of the things I want to point out, some of the staples that we've seen before, one of the biggest ones is going to be this Luigi, right? We saw this a lot last semester with this Luigi. One of the most famous things in the Smash community is the 0 to 100 movesets, right? Those combos that if you just lock them down, you go 1, 2, 3, and then they're gone. They're off the stage, right? A beautiful knockout. And that is one of the things that Syracuse likes to play on, is going to be that Luigi, right? King DDD and Min Min, also a character that we might see tonight, one of the 2.
King
and it's gonna be interesting to see, excuse me, because you know, not only do you have to worry about what you want to play, but also in terms of matchups, right? You don't get to know who your opponent's going to play until you're already in the lobby.
Yeah, there's no preparation, and you obviously doing a good job scouting. You would look at what the other team plays a lot of the time, but sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. That Luigi, you go straight from the neutral game all the way to the end game very, very quickly. And I think it's going to be getting Kansas on the disadvantage first. You want to play your game. It's a lot like Valorant. I'm going to say that a lot with the playing your game and just playing how you want to play. You can't let them just decide how you play the game. And the Luigi pick, I assume, will come out. I think we've seen it every single match so far. So that's pretty much a guarantee. But the rest of it, it's really a toss-up. The meta's kind of everywhere. I think then it comes down a lot to who's on your team.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Smash, right? That's one of the more unique things in comparison to a lot of the other games we see here. I mean, just in esports as a whole, let alone, but in the fighting game community, yeah, there are some good characters, right? I mean, Joker, incredibly good. Pyramithra, a very, very good character as well. There are some very good characters in the game, but then there are characters, it comes down to how good you are as a player. Looks like we're going to get a Palutena and a Pokemon trainer for the battle here in match number 1 here. So just looks like a little button test, make sure everything is all nice and dandy as they get ready here, but definitely going to be interesting to see. As Syracuse, I believe, is going to be that team on the blue there, as we just saw. So going to be sort of an interesting matchup if those are the 2 characters we see here. Palutena, a lot more of a longer range character, but with this Pokemon trainer, you have the ability to sort of switch it around. The Bulbasaur having the ability to go in and grapple a little bit. Charizard, really close range, however, having some ranged attacks, but not too many to work with. And then the Squirtle, a lot of range, a lot of pushback ability. So a lot of sort of chip percentage until you can find that nice knockout.
I'm curious if they did play who they were going to play. That's kind of what I'm wondering, because I don't know if I don't know how serious you are, how confident you are in yourself, and just like some people just don't think about that, and they're like, I'm just going to play the character I'm going to play. Like, whatever. They're going to see it in 5 seconds anyway. But I mean, the next second, I mean, it will come down to that. Looks like we're going to get Pokemon Trainer from Muxo with the other side. Our Bart.
Yeah, so Bart is going to be the one on this Palutena here for the side of Syracuse. And for Bart, right, this is going to be that coach sort of figure of this team, right? That's one of the sort of team captains, if you will, of the Smash roster to put himself in. But we'll have to see what happens here with this Palutena. Already going to take a look at this.
Yeah, this is just leaving. But Bart is keeping a lot of distance here we're seeing in this end, so it's quite interesting to see how this matchup is going to be played. That crew battle is, I really like. I like that a lot more. I haven't been a big fan. I've been a big fan of Smash for a while, but I'm just not a big fan of one. I'm a big esport guy, so I guess this makes it way more interesting because suddenly you've got someone else entirely stepping up the back, someone else to play, and they're playing an entirely different game. So it's really interesting. You can switch on the fly. you got. And you get eliminated, now you have to go play something else is calling you. Somebody down, Ryan Stocks, if they're the right player in the right situation, it'd be great. You got a Rob Hunter who just completely neutralize the team that can't zone. It's going to go the right way for you.
Yeah, absolutely right. So we're already seeing some good things coming out from both of these players, but I mean, Syracuse at the moment struggling just a little bit to find that full value, right? I mean, already lost a couple of stocks there on the side of Syracuse. They're trying to find their way through, trying to find some good chip percentage in, but right now, right, the Charizard putting a lot of pressure as Pokemon trainer able to keep the distance where they need to, and Syracuse can't quite find that package they need to find.
Yeah, and I'm very familiar with the warm-up so far. He's playing around here, maybe not very good offense, but he's a good warm-up on the other. But watching is a difference in distance, and that's what you're going to see all night. Maybe, how are you going to approach this? How are you going to keep the other opponent out of the way and keep yourself good? It's coming out of each game, how you play, how you want to play.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, with this, already seeing a little bit of percentage start to chip in as we were mentioning there. Really good start for Syracuse, but we are down a couple of stocks here. That could be one of the biggest things at the moment, right? So when you start to take some of this percentage, both these characters might come a little bit more on that medium weight side, so be a little bit more careful. But the side of Kansas, right, there's some good things a little bit more, and there you go. Syracuse gonna find a nice stock there, start to bring this one back into their favor a little bit more, but this Palutena needs to find a way to keep the distance a little bit more, keep the pressure a little bit further back, but just like that, not able to do it, and Kansas will take that first little set of 3 stocks here against Syracuse.
Yeah, Bart going a little bit more conservative on that end. You saw once they got down to the stocks, it was kind of up to Ivysaur taking more space, being more aggressive than the Palutena, and the Palutena backing up. Cuse had a really good set for there, but it was a bit tough.
Yeah.
You can't really keep going forward with that. You can't really play as aggressive as you want to when you're that low, and it kind of changes the way you play. And that's what we were talking about earlier with playing the game you want to play. You want to be on the offensive, and you don't want to dig yourself into a hole because then you're defending yourself with a shovel while you're trying to get yourself back out.
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing, right? When you start off a little bit behind there, you know, at the very start of that match, right, the Palutena, right, that we saw from Syracuse wasn't quite able to find the full value. And, you know, as trying to find that value in the process, right, we did see Kansas able to find that really good chip. You know, they were able to really rotate between that Pokemon trainer in the ways they wanted to. And in that process, right, we got to see some really good plays from Kansas, and Syracuse just couldn't quite find the value, couldn't quite find their entry point. We did see 1 stock taken, but Syracuse starting 2 down in this next fight is going to be a little bit hard to come back to. I mean, this Pokemon trainer, you just have basically everything you want to play. You want to play close, far, mid-range. You have all the options.
Yeah, it's a really interesting character because you have, like you just said, so many options. You're playing 3 different characters in one. You can switch with them on the fly and play entirely different. If you want to go conservative and you want to play Ivysaur, you can back up and do that. If you want to play Charizard, you can go play Charizard at any point. Whatever you see and whatever you basically are calling it as you see it. You're playing coach while you're playing the game. And it's a very interesting setup, and it's a hard character to master, but obviously Kansas got the job done very quickly there. 2 stocks early off Cuse, and it went very well for them. Forced Cuse back into a corner, played very defensively, and they couldn't do much of anything while Palutena just kind of went down there. But wouldn't say it's a bad start for Syracuse, just those 2 stocks going down very early.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes that is what happens, right? You know, when you throw that first matchup in, you don't entirely know what's going to happen first, right? So having that Palutena versus that Pokemon trainer, things didn't quite go as planned for Syracuse, going down a couple of stocks there, but, right, no major issues, right? I mean, we did see Zamian on that Palutena, not able to quite find the full value, but, right, with Syracuse, you have a lot of other options here, right? We've talked about the Luigi before. We know there is a phenomenal Yoshi player as well for Syracuse. That's GR Bean, for anyone who is curious, who played that last semester, right? A lot of value that can be seen, but when you're going up against a character, specifically how Kansas is playing this, right, with this Pokemon trainer, you need to really find the maximum value, right? You need to find who is going to be best against this specific character, and to do that, you may need to find someone who just can really match that very flexible playstyle, right? Maybe even throw your min-min player back in.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, you can just put anyone in here, right? You can just call who you need.
Yep.
Very interesting. I really like that format. I'm still familiarizing myself with it, but yeah, I mean, you've got guys that play different characters all around here. They're probably discussing right now, who do we want to go throw in there? And that's exactly what you mentioned. It's going to be interesting to see what we play, and I think some of the time you go out of convention, you have guys that don't play conventional characters that want to go out there and like, hey, I can go beat Pokemon Trainer with my King Dedede, or I can beat him with my Min, or I can beat him with my, I don't know, young Link. It's one of those things where
options.
You have so many options in this game. You have over 55 selectable characters.
Yeah, something like that. There's a lot.
There's a lot of them. Not a lot of them get played.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It does come down to, your specific skill as a player, right? If you can play young Link at the best possible, level, then might as well play it, right? I mean, Pokemon Trainer, not a very popular character to be picked here in Smash Brothers, but we saw Kansas pull that one out first and did some really good work, right? But if you're Syracuse now, one thing we've talked about on Smash Broadcast before is, you have your 4 players. Typically, your 4th player is your anchor, typically that player that you trust to be able to bring yourselves back after being a little bit further behind. And may not get any playtime if you're rolling through the opponent, but also that player that you can trust and maybe take 3, 4, 5, 6 stocks and still be able to come back in the game. So your anchor typically being either your best player or your best player for the circumstance that you're in, right? Against a team that maybe you've scouted and you're like, all right, well, Yoshi, not going to be our best option because they have a lot of longer range, so we maybe don't want to play that way. So switch it up. Maybe we don't have Yoshi, but we have Min as our anchor, right? Other cases of the scenario, you may have Yoshi as your anchor, depending on how you want to play it. So it comes down to a lot of scouting, which you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and I mean, even the Pokemon Trainer there, you go, hey guys, I'm noticing that they're not great at distance. Like when I played away from them and I played them at a distance, we did a great job. We were able to get damage in. We were able to maybe take a stock off that Pokemon Trainer. I need a zoner. I need someone who can play a zoner. And sometimes players can't play against certain characters, and that's sometimes what you have to find is there's times where you just notice somebody isn't good enough at a certain character, enough against another character, and you can just play them and win because you're just as talented as that person on any given night, and they're not that talented against this character. They haven't seen it enough. There's definitely examples in Melee that I'm not too familiar with. Yoshi initially in Melee getting played because nobody really knew how to beat Yoshi at that point, and that's the kind of thing you think about with this is there's just certain characters that I think there's guys that don't see it too often.
Yeah, I mean, Yoshi, a character that we've seen before, that is the GR Beam player, right? With Yoshi, very uncommon character you tend to see, but I mean, I've seen a few Yoshi players in my time, and every Yoshi player I've seen, the way they play Yoshi is so unique, right? No Yoshi player plays Yoshi the same way, and that's another thing in Smash is you will never see one character played the same way, right? Every player, every individual player has a way they like to play the character, right? And so if you have a player who, for Yoshi, one of the biggest things is the egg. You like to play with the egg, right? Other Yoshis like to play with the bounty attack. So a lot of different changes here as we're going to see. It does look like the brawler, so I think one coming in. A little bit of a button test, potentially. There's the taunt to start everything off. And there you go. Evens up the score. -1 stop for Kansas to bring themselves back into this matchup here. And already, Kansas starting off strong.
Yeah, New Brawler is an interesting pick here. See if they're going to beat them kind of at their own game. Really aggressive earlier from the Jayhawk. We'll see if Syracuse can beat that aggression. Obviously going to have a little bit of an interesting situation here because you are technically down, but you are up right. You only have to get 2 stocks off the board to keep yourself honest, and you don't want to really lose any because then you're going to still be down.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, that is one of the big things you have to think about is, you're trying to even this up, take both stocks without losing a single one. And that is where things get very complicated and difficult at times. You don't really want to afford to lose a stock here. You can't afford to lose a stock. You're still down a player. So you need to find that value here. And we are going to see already Syracuse putting in some good percentage. The stars are already really smart. They can take more of that percentage. They get heavier. A lot harder to go off the stage here. We'll get a nice recovery now. The Syracuse going to look for some sort of opening. The good blocks on either side, though. Both these players a little bit on the edge of their knockout there, but won't quite find it.
Beats the edge guard again for Hughes, but Moscow gets him out again. See if we can get him a third time in the charm, but Moscow backs off there and sees that they're not great on the edge, move a little bit backwards, and Mibala has to move over. That's the only way to get on it. Oh, that is a rough miss. And then we see the Squirtle come back out as Charizard dashes right, and Noah Cord gets nobody.
Yeah, I mean, very well played, right? Syracuse read that play, jumped over it, and immediately, right, Kansas losing that stock here. Now, if you are Syracuse, right, you're down a stock, you're down a player or two, right, so you really don't want to lose anything else here. This Mii Brawler, right, made to customize, made to play for the specific player who is on them, right, to play the best they can. The Bulbasaur are going to come out for the side of Kansas now, putting in some really good poke percentage on to Syracuse. The grab isn't going to connect, and the block is there. No parry, but now on the edge. This could be exactly where Syracuse wants to play it, but a grab again, and just trying to survive, can't quite find it.
Yeah, that edge guard's going to be interesting now, the way that the Jayhawks approach it. We get a Charizard switch as Q's tries to get it, and that's another stock lost, but they're now even in this matchup, per se, just for this game. That would make Jayhawks up 10-8 now, I believe. Yes, 10-8. I can do basic math sometimes on the fly. As still looking up top, Q's just trying to stay on the ground. That's the big thing about Mii Brawler, is Mii Brawler seems to be very vulnerable. Obviously, you are very vulnerable with any character. Mii Brawler especially, you don't really have much combo, but that is a great combo. Staying alive, though, is the Jayhawk. Ivysaur switch into Charizard now as we see a Nair. Back to the other side. Bart has him on the other end. Cuse, rather. The shot down in. That is a great edge guard. That's game. Kind of. Now we go not even, but we're 8-10.
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse, you lost a couple stocks there. You may not be happy with that performance, but at least now you're sort of even once more, right? Now you're going to be going up against the next player coming in from Kansas. The downside is they know you're going to be on that Mii Brawler, and one of the downsides with Brawler is, yes, they're customized for the individual player, but you know exactly what's going to happen, right? With Mii Brawler is, okay, now you know exactly if you're Kansas who you want to put in against that. Yes, there are a lot of things you can do on Brawler. There are a lot of combos you can make, but the way that these Brawlers are sort of made is they're very specific, right? And so once you know those combos, it's very difficult to really be creative with them, and that's sort of what I'm worried about for Syracuse here, is Kansas has the ability to now just say, all right, let's throw whoever we want against this Brawler. Obviously, Brawl means close fighter. You may throw in another very long-range character if you are Kansas here, someone a little bit heavier as well, and that may be the play that you need to do to go in this even more.
Yeah, and the Jayhawks are playing Pokemon Trainer with their players right now, seeing what's going to match up the best against Mii Brawler, and you don't really know. I mean, sometimes it's up to the Mii Brawler, and it's up to you're watching how the other player plays, and you go, okay, I can deal with that, or okay, I can't deal with that. It's up to the team, and it's very big on team play, which is I'm a huge fan of for the PEC and the format here. You've got 6 guys on stage right now who are all playing a very different game and are all different players who are just kind of getting their own chance, and it's calling in the right person. You're basically running a game, like managing a game in baseball pitching. You're putting in your relievers when you need to. Your starter's out. Now you've got, I don't know, Chad Kuhl coming out for the 3rd inning, and you're in a rough situation. You're in a bullpen game, but so are them. It's a very interesting scenario where you're kind of trading blows, and you're trying to keep your players, you keep the ones you want for the end if you need them, but having stocks now would help a lot.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, like you were mentioning with that stocks, having stocks helps out a lot. Being -2 for Syracuse, your best case scenario here, you just 3 stock this next opponent, right? Now you are this Mii Brawler, right? Character that we've seen a couple times before here, right? That's going to be Scooby, I believe. And, with this, doing the best you can to just try to even this up the most you can, right? Taking 3 stocks to 1, very difficult, right? I mean, you just continue to build up that percentage. If you're Kansas, you can afford to just throw in someone who maybe doesn't do a lot of pressure really fast, but just, slowly pokes you out until you reach a point where you can get knocked off the stage. And, if you're Kansas, you can afford to lose 1 stock, even 2 against that, and still be up in the lead, right? So Kansas has a lot to play with here. It does look like we're going to see a Daisy come out for the side of Kansas. Rather unique character to pick here. Most of the princesses in Super Smash Bros. Are a little unique to play here, all of them having some sort of little niche to them that makes them unique. And to see this here, the taunt will start it off here. 1 stock to 3. Both these second player for the crew battle here as Syracuse looks to start it off strong.
Yeah, you're going to see a very conservative brawler play from Syracuse here. Daisy is a tough character to beat if you're not looking the right way. You have the counter, obviously, of course. So it's going to be interesting to see how Q's plays this, but I'm fairly confident. You're kind of just in a mentality right now, take everything you can off them, and I'm not sure how conservative you want to play, or maybe you go really aggressive. You're playing Mii Fighter. The aggression helps here, and you just have to play it the right way, and it's kind of down to whatever the other team is doing. If they're playing really aggressive, maybe you play a bit conservatively. If they're not, go take advantage of that, and we see a great edge guard block there as Marxo on the other side, and that shot put there on the other side. He gets thrown the other way on a grab, back off the stage. See an edge guard here from the Jayhawks side, and off the wall. That's game. We're down to...
You got that.
9-6?
Yeah, there you go. I was fully trusting you. I was doing it in my head too, and I was not getting there.
Did you get there?
I got there after you said it.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But I mean, you know, if you're Syracuse here, right? Not ideal. You at least want to take something off there. But you know, here is one of the good things, right? You know, if you are Syracuse, right, you got to see this Daisy. You know, they say dead men tell no tales. But if you are Syracuse, right, you got knocked off the stage. At the end of the day, though, now you got to see this Daisy. You got to see a little bit about how they played. So now you get to tell that tale to your teammates, to your coach, and decide who you want to put in next.
This is a situation you're down 3. You basically are just completely down a player than the other team. Do you try and take off 3 stocks here with your anchor? Do you throw in the right person, or do you save the anchor for the last 3 lives? It's an interesting situation because you still got that amount of lives, and if the anchor comes out late or comes out early, it might be disaster if the anchor can't play a Daisy or can't play the next character, but could have played the last one when you could have been in a situation where someone else beats it. It's knowing your team, and it's spending a lot of time with your team and knowing exactly what's the right move. They'll be discussing it, but what would you like to see to counter a Daisy, do you think?
I think, you know, I think you keep your anchor. I think keeping your anchor as that Luigi or that Yoshi is going to be solid. I don't know who we'll see first here. I think there's a potentiality that we'll see the Luigi come out. Maybe look to try to brawl that really close with that Daisy. Look for that 0 to 100 combo set. But, you know, we'll have to see here, as I was entirely off book here, and we're going to see the Donkey Kong match up here. -1 for crew members for Syracuse here, looking to try to even things up. They don't really want to sacrifice any stocks here. Kansas, on the other hand, feeling a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, looks like we'll get Mill Sharks here for the side of Cuse. Ooh, back up top, we see Daisy really doing a number. 70% to 0, or 11 now, I will say. Just not a great start from Cuse. You're just, that Daisy is really beating this Donkey Kong.
Yeah, it's just rough, right? I mean, this Daisy is able to put in so much chip percentage, like we were mentioning earlier. Now, luckily with DK, a much heavier character, can survive up to that 200, 250% even. But this Daisy, right, especially those turnips, can be very scary. Some of these side attacks as well, just able to send you off this stage. It is a smaller stage as well, so this DK has to play a little bit safer here for the side of Q's. Just trying to find an opening, but this Daisy is just reading it so perfectly, and already a stock will go down for Syracuse there.
9-5 at this point. The DK is not looking great. He's even trying to take as many stocks as they can here off the Daisy. The worst case scenario here would be no stocks taken off, obviously.
Yep.
You don't want to go down 9-3. That would be quite disastrous. See if the Donkey Kong can do it. You seem very aggressive now. Just, it's kind of a momentum thing where once you get your first hit in, there's potential there. You can kind of exponentially go on from there. We saw that Daisy do it the first time out, and now the second time out, we're getting a little bit better of a showing from Donkey Kong, who's, I think, maybe got a handle on what the Jayhawks are doing.
Yeah, and that's a great way to start there. Looking to even it back up here. Another stock taken for Syracuse there. Looking to even this one back up once more, right? Going in further for this. They're going to try to just not lose any more stocks, right? Look to push up in this percentage. They don't want to give this Daisy any sort of opening, but it's really rough to do that, right? This Daisy has been doing a really good job reading these blocks, reading this moveset from this DK here from Syracuse, and it's been scary, right? Already up to 130%. The turnips coming out from the Daisy once more as well. A good shield comes in and will be able to slam them down, and that's going to be another stock taken for Syracuse.
That's a perk of the heavy. You have 140% there, and Syracuse is able to take down the Daisy once more. A great opportunity here to try and get an extra stock back and try and move it, I guess, positively in the right direction. But tough situation to 162 health and a great neutrally, I believe that is, on the other side. And we're seeing a lot of aggressive play from that Donkey Kong, and it's bound to happen if you miss one spot there.
Yeah, I mean, 199% here. One more hit from this Daisy will send this DK off the stage, most likely. As I say that, of course, I am incorrect. But, you know, very risky here. But if you are Syracuse, right, you're okay with this, right? Obviously, you don't want to lose another stock if you don't have to, but this Daisy will find it now 1-1 in the stock differential. Still a player behind for Syracuse. They need to find this stock. They cannot let this Daisy get away with any more.
Yeah, this is a must-win opportunity right here. You're 1-1 at equal percentage. Not quite equal percentage because it doesn't matter. It matters a little less on a heavy how high you are in terms of percentage and damage. But Syracuse has to do a really good job here. Just get rid of this Daisy now, get back to 0%, and try and take as many stocks off the next one as you can. Still got to beat the first one, though, as we go down here. Go up top. Nothing there as they're now on an edge guard situation.
Yeah, you can see it from Syracuse. They look for the connect. They're able to find it. Syracuse going to be back in their position here on the same member. A 2-on-2 left for these crew members here. Now, once again, though, right, Syracuse, you were able to find that stock. You're down to 1 stock, though, here, right? So, obviously you're trying to make it even, but you're still at that 2 stock deficit. And, obviously Kansas, once again, they're able to see they're going to play the DK. They know you want to play close range. So if you're Kansas, you maybe play one of your more longer range, or you just match the heavy, throw out a Bowser, throw out maybe a DK yourself, right? Or a King DDD, and you have a lot to choose from Kansas, and that is always sort of the disadvantage of, even though you're able to start bringing yourselves back, Kansas now has the advantage to know exactly what they want to play.
Yeah, this is huge because you're probably going to go into your Luigi next time, just from assumption here with how we've played the previous matches. But it's a very interesting situation because now the Donkey Kong really has to take a stock off.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to have an advantage on that second game if you go down and don't get, and theoretically, if you do lose that game, this next game, you don't give your teammate an advantage and you don't give them a fair slate going into the final section there. You're going to have to be perfect, and that's kind of the tough section here, is you really need to get 2 stocks. That's the best situation for the Orange right now, so they don't lose any stocks before they go place the last match, but we'll have to see. Obviously, Donkey Kong has an opportunity here to go 3-0. You don't know what's going to happen, and Donkey Kong doesn't know Donkey Kong doesn't know what they're going to see unless they've done a great amount of scouting and can predict their next move.
Yeah, I mean, and that is sort of the crazy thing, right? I mean, you said it earlier, right? 50, 55 plus characters. Everyone is sort of niche to their own play style. We could see a lot of different things. I mean, we could see a Kirby come out num 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 and take the ability from the DK, able to match that heavy, and then just go in and start to really play sort of a mirror in a sense, right? That's one of the strong things about Kirby is that mirror, right? You're able to just say, all right, cool. You want to fight me with your character? I'm just gonna eat your abilities and I'll match you, right? It's very frightening, right? Because you have to then prepare for not only Kirby's basic cooldowns and utility, but also for now your own moveset.
Yeah, you're basically playing a faster version of Donkey Kong on the other side with a completely different moveset. So less range, but still just as dangerous, and Kirby by itself with no eat is just as dangerous as any other character in the game. There's so much that can happen in a game like this that there is no general perceivable way that whatever is going to happen. I really like watching Smash. It's a great party game, and it's an even better esport just because it's got a randomness to it. You saw Donkey Kong at 250%, and we're going to see an Olimar, which is not at all what I thought I was going to see.
I feel like I think last semester there were 3 Olimar players we saw in the PEC, and Olimar, very interesting character, right? Able to play at range, very, I wasn't going to say weak, but very light character is what I mean to say here, right? Double stock goes down. The taunt just started off. Syracuse looking to even this up the best way they can here, and immediately going to start off strong, right? This DK needs to close the distance, needs to close that space so Syracuse can find the value here. Nice slam will go in, a good couple of hits as well, and a great punch as Syracuse will take a stock, looking better now.
Now that's the problem with playing a light here. Donkey Kong can kill you at 50%, and we just saw it there. A perfect setup from Cuse there, and that's exactly what you need. Now you're just trying to get more and more off the other side. Down to 73, gets up to the 30. Can't quite finish him off there, but one wrong move there, and Olimar would have gone down again. Getting juggled up in the air. Still, got a Jester on the other team for the Jayhawks.
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse, right? That is one of the things, like you were saying, Olimar, very much a lighter character, can get hit very fast and off the stage, but can do a lot of just percentage build very slowly over time, especially with those Pikmin, able to just put in so much pressure over that time here. And, this DK, one of the biggest things, you can't let that happen, right? 169% here in counting, and, you're nearing that edge where you are going to get thrown off the stage. You've taken a stock, looking for one more is going to be, obviously 2 more best case scenario, but 1 more is going to feel confident, but they're not going to be able to find it as splat goes the DK on the screen. And now Syracuse going to be down still 2 stocks and a player here.
A really good start to that against Olimar, and it just didn't go the way on the second stock. Only had 30% for Donkey Kong, but just that's the problem with Olimar. Played him at a distance, couldn't close the space in time, and couldn't get that combo off. That punch was huge. Saw it get absolutely clobbered off the map. That little astronaut just went soaring into space. But sometimes it happens. Sometimes you miss a shot. Sometimes you're playing so fast. This obviously game is very quick.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell that because we aren't fully doing play-by-play in the sense of a normal sense of what you're watching. There is a lot more analyzing of what's happening because it happens so fast. And even for these players, it's amazing that they can react to that. I don't think, like, if I was playing that Olimar right there, I think
still be processing.
I think I would have
happened.
turned the switch off by like 50%. That was It's great. It's great play from both teams.
Absolutely, it is right. And we are seeing it's still very, very even. Right. Once again, though, the advantage of Syracuse, of Kansas here is they're going to be able to see who Syracuse puts out next come the knockout of Kansas's next player or not. Right. They're going to know who goes in next. If you are Syracuse, right, if you're looking to play your anchor, you're looking to play that Luigi, right, or you're looking to play that Yoshi. One of those two very likely to come out next against Kansas here. Both these characters, right, the Luigi, lighter, Yoshi, also lighter character. I've seen Yoshis go up to about 160% or so before, so they have some good interactions to keep themselves on stage, but sometimes it's not quite enough. So both your anchors lighter, but both your anchors very different play styles, right? The Yoshi can play very far at range. The Luigi looking to get very close in 0 to 100.
And this is where the scouting comes in. You have to see who Boise State is going to play at the end, as we're going to get Yoshi here with Olimar. And if this might be the right call, if the next character, too, is also not great at range and you can play Olimar at range, this is what it's come down to, is Olimar has to drop 1 stock and then go here, as we are now at a 5-3 final score. Not final score, score as of now before we enter this matchup.
Yep, Taunt starts it off here. 1 stock down for Kansas, 1 member down for Syracuse, but immediately the Yoshi starting off strong here. GR Bean, one of the stronger players for Syracuse that we saw last semester, tends to be that anchor, right? Very, very powerful player on this team, and gonna look to try to bring Syracuse back in this series against Kansas. Both these players, though, looking to play a little bit closer, right? This Olimar not able to keep the space that they want to keep for the side of Kansas, and both these players a little bit close on that percentage right now, and that's sort of one thing I was mentioning earlier here, Carson, is, around that 100-150%, you're facing knockout situation.
Yeah, and it depends, obviously, on what character you're facing up against, because Donkey Kong can eliminate you at 40% if you're on the left side of the stage. But seeing, you mentioned how the Yoshi can play distance. That's not at all what's happening here.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the uniqueness of Yoshi players first, and we're seeing how aggressive they can be. Olimar on the other side gets Yoshi off that right side, has advantage here as he has to play the edge guard now. Cuse back on the other end. In the middle, just trying to do what they can now at 133%. You're seeing a bit more of a conservative look here from the orange.
Yeah, 142% playing a risky game. Now we're going to see that range start to come out a little bit more for the side of Syracuse. 87 for the Olimar, though, so getting a little close as well. Couple tail whips from the Yoshi will do it, but getting very risky territory here as this Olimar is just looking to find that final hit and will find it and will take a stock. Not great for Syracuse to see here. They need to find their way back into this.
Essentially, you're now playing even, but you just kind of, go ahead. Great elimination there on that right side. And you see how low Olimar was compared to Yoshi. Yoshi died at 160. Olimar died at 60, or 80. Olimar died at 80. So it's different to how you play it. And Olimar is a very, very light character.
Absolutely.
So you're playing really aggressive as Olimar, but Yoshi just kind of has to get the right hit and get Olimar up on that percentage. And you're seeing how aggressive we're playing earlier, and you just go up 30%. Now you're playing off stage. Olimar stuck on that edge. Yoshi now off site. And it's quite interesting just to see how these players have switched. No conservatism from the orange side, going really aggressive still.
Yeah, Syracuse now finding some good percentage increase on this Olimar. Only a couple tail whips, like I said, will send them off the stage, and that's what Syracuse is looking for. 36%, very comfortable for this Yoshi player, but don't want to lose any more stocks right here. Don't want to take any more percentage as I say that. A nice up will hit onto the Yoshi here, and Syracuse will find the hit, will take the stock, and will keep them alive in this series. 2 stocks to 3 in this final matchup, so no longer at that 2-stock deficit here. Like I said, though, right, the advantage for Kansas is they know you're going to play that Yoshi. The disadvantage being on Syracuse there, but this Yoshi, right? That player you put in as your anchor, that player you trust to be able to bring the team back up after sometimes being a little bit further behind in stocks, able to be only down by 1 stock deficit here. Feeling a little bit more comfortable here. Not really in the clear, but definitely more comfortable.
And now Lawrenson is going to bring out their anchor, likely,
Yep.
depending on how we see it. Sometimes your anchor's like, hey, I don't want to play Yoshi. And so someone else goes out in there and plays. So it's an interesting situation because you will see that player at some point, and you may have already seen it. It is tough to tell from perspective in this booth, but a lot of players played one trick, and some of the time it's just mastering those characters, and that Yoshi has been exponentially just getting better throughout this season, and you've seen it there. Really aggressive against the Olimar, played a very light character, knew how to play it, knew that they just needed to get those 2 stocks, and you're going to enter this down 3-2, but you were down 3 earlier, and deficit of 1 is a lot better, I will say.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that is the thing, right? I mean, so far, from everyone we've seen no typical meta characters from Smash, right? We haven't seen that Pirate Mithra, haven't seen that Joker, right? Haven't seen that Steve, right? You haven't seen any of those characters yet, right? Which really does prove that a lot of these players, they have their specialty, and that's what they're going to stick to, right? Because they're very good at it, right? And even if you throw a meta character at them, they're going to perform very, very well, right? So we're going to see. This is going to be interesting, Carson, here. A Yoshi and a Luigi. Kansas pulls out the Luigi for this final matchup, this 0-100. We talked a lot about it from the side of Syracuse. They like to play this Luigi for that 0-100, but now we're going to see it coming out from the side of Kansas. 0-100. You do not want to let this connection of this combo happen. The taunt starts it off. 1 stock under will be Syracuse in this first match crew battle.
We're still seeing the aggression from the Q side, obviously. Not too afraid of that combo, but there it is starting on the other end. And Yoshi's quick, so it's going to be hard to get that combo off. It's just how fast the Orange play it and how aerial the Orange play it. That has to be a combo that starts on the ground. And if Yoshi stays in the air, typically it's going to be hard for Lawrenson to pull it, or the Jayhawks and Lawrenson to pull it off.
Yeah, and one of the good things I do want to mention about, sort of going up against this Luigi is Syracuse has a Luigi player, right? So you know that this Yoshi and this Luigi have gone up against each other when they're practicing, when they're scrimming. So playing up against the Luigi is something not foreign, right, to Syracuse. They've played it before. They're probably used to it. And we've seen, right, this Yoshi was able to find some value. But as I'm saying that, a good combo is going to come out from Kansas just as they were starting to find the value for Syracuse and going to be down 2 stocks here, needing to find their way back into this.
Yeah, Luigi heavier than Olimar. You're seeing at a higher percentage than I think Olimar even ever got to. Seeing on the edge now, but that's just going to be a tough edge guard, but Q's can't pull it off, and now you're playing 1-3. Luigi has the high percentage, but is going to get more and more off of this Yoshi. It's essential for the Orange that they try and get this stock off here, but they're an anchor for a reason, and Luigi is playing extremely well right now and not dying in any way, shape, or form. They get back on stage now playing the edge guard, trying to get a combo off. Just really tough scenario for the Orange here. You have to play conservative, but you need to get this stock now.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, 146%, you're in a good spot, but as I say that, this Luigi finds a good hit and sends Syracuse's Yoshi off the stage. I mean, if you're Kansas, you're feeling comfortable. You may not feel, great, right? It did get a little close, but if you're Syracuse, right, same thing can be applied, right? You may not feel great right now, but you may feel okay, right? I mean, you got close. You know the capability is there. Now you just got to continue that forward as you go into game number 2. You've seen some of the players for the side of Kansas, so now Bart, that coach, can start to think maybe who you want to put in first, right? How do you want to readjust your players to go up against Kansas?
Yeah, and you want to show them something new. You don't want to bring out that Yoshi immediately, unless you do, because that's obviously it's not what you would expect from this other team. Syracuse could be like, hey, we can beat Luigi with a Luigi if they want to do that. We can go throw that Luigi out there right now. We can go throw that Yoshi out there. And it's all about playing the game to your advantage. You would like to be ahead, so you are in a favorable spot. You don't want to be playing from behind. And obviously that's a very obvious rule of playing these kind of games. But Kansas was in the driver's seat the entire time there. Syracuse was playing on the disadvantage the entire time. And those first stocks are really important. You don't want to put your worst player in that other section, or that player that you believe is least capable of beating the other team in there. And Kansas just did a better job there. That Pokemon trainer had a huge value for Kansas and was likely the reason that they got that win.
Yeah, I mean, that Pokemon trainer, a great way to start for Kansas. Very well could have been their anchor, right? We do see sometimes teams will throw their anchor out first and just get a massive head start, right? So that near in the end, your other players, right, can just start to sort of peck out some percentage, take out a stock or two, and still be able to be the winner there. So, maybe we do see a switch up here for Syracuse, right? Maybe you do throw that Yoshi out, like you were saying, sort of go for that switch up. Good thing for Syracuse here, right? Back at that 12 stocks, born again, don't have to worry about that reset, and fully able to go back into this matchup. But you do have to worry about the mental reset, right? You're able to reset on those stocks. You're able to come back into this, but you got to stay strong, right? Now you got to think again. You can't let sort of the smash, which is just 1v1, right? You can't let that get to your head. You got to relax. You got to take a step back, and you got to reevaluate.
Yeah, in the orange, you got to play your game here. I mean, you can put someone else in too who is not, I guess, maybe that Yoshi isn't ready to play again and needs a second. You can throw someone else in there.
True.
It's important, obviously, who you're playing, but in the end, you've got 4 players playing, and those 4 players will play anyway, and you want to put each player in the best position for them. If you think right now Yoshi is the play, I would do something like that right now. Getting a massive lead forces the other team to just play into your hand. You don't have to react, or you get to react to them. They don't have to react to you when you already know what's coming out, and you know maybe what they're going to play. You're seeing it again, and this is what the second round comes into. You are starting in a bit of an interesting slot here because now you know what the other team has played, and now you are going to respond to that. And is Kansas going to go in and try something new, or are they going to do the exact same thing?
Well, to answer that question here, Carson, it looks like we're going to see the Pokemon trainer come back out first for Kansas, but it could be an anchor v anchor battle here, Carson, as we see Yoshi come out first for the side of Syracuse. A little bit of a button test, the taunt to start it out, and just like that, match number 2 is going to start here. Kansas up 1 in this best-of-3 series. Match point for them, but 12-12 left on these stocks.
Yeah, and we're seeing a little bit of a different situation here for Yoshi. On the back foot a little bit here, trying to close that distance, but they obviously figured something like this might happen on the Kansas side, and that Pokemon trainer is a really good start. They can play at a very uncomfortable distance right away from Yoshi, where Yoshi has to charge in, has to get aggressive there, and it depends entirely on what character is out, how Yoshi's going to have to play this, and that Ivysaur can be dangerous and a great counter against a fast-paced character like Yoshi that has to get in close with how we've been playing.
Yeah, that is one of the things to keep in mind, right, is this Pokemon trainer player, as I say that, will lose a stock, but one of the strengths of this character is you really do have the ability, if you know how to master them, which Kansas's player does, to play however you want, right? Put in the pressure in however way you want to put that pressure onto your opponent. Syracuse did find a good stock here. You don't want to lose one. You don't really want to go even here. You want to still try to find that value in the upwards movement of that stock, and we are going to see this Syracuse player will unfortunately lose that stock even here, but even Steven, never a bad thing.
Yeah, and Charizard you saw there come out at that end stock, and is kind of a situation where if you get hit by Charizard, you're basically dead. And we saw a clobbering of Yoshi right at the end there once they switched to Charizard, but it hasn't been coming out in the early stages, and that's an interesting thing because Charizard's heavier, so you're kind of playing as you go. You're like, oh, I have this up to the side stock. Oh, now it's Charizard. So now I can't play it the right way I want to. It's going to be interesting to see how much of this Ivysaur we see relied on, and we've seen this the most.
Yeah, absolutely right. And we're going to see, once again, still very, very close between these two players at the moment. 88 to 100. One hit really is the biggest difference. As I say that, literally a 0.2 differential in that percentage. Both these players looking for that value. Both these players having the ability to really send the other one off the stage. Sending the Charizard there, and immediately this Yoshi off the edge, and will just send them down. Does not want to play that long-range percentage battle. Looking for it early to find that good value for Syracuse. They do so here, as now they're up again in one stock. Obviously, best case scenario, you take him out here, you don't lose another stock, but if you're Syracuse, you are a little bit more comfortable in this position.
Absolutely, and you're not going to play as aggressive with 135%, but now we're seeing Ivysaur in the closing stages, and almost no Squirtle against Yoshi, which is a bit interesting. We're going to immediately switch. Oh, I thought it was going to come out. Charizard back out, see if we... It's a bit interesting. I don't know what the Charizard percentage is, but it seems about 150% where they're just going to go to that no matter what. Ivysaur has been the main choice here to keep that distance, but Charizard plays in close, and it's not been going well. They've been taking a massive chunk of percentage off. There was a full advantage there, and now you're getting to the same percentage that you were at earlier when they were on one stock in a toss and a throw. Charizard gets Yoshi, but now you got an 89 to 0 percentage here.
Yeah, I mean, now it's a little bit scarier if you are Syracuse, right? You're a lighter character, and likely Kansas will stick on this heavier one to be able to just survive a little bit longer. As I say that, though, both these players getting very, very close on this percentage mark for that knockout here. Charizard's going to stay in the slower hits, but they are going to be harder hits, right? Yoshi, however, from the side of Syracuse, is going to try to find the value, but the tail whip comes in, and Kansas will take this one, but not without a fight.
Massive advantage there from the Orange, unfortunately squandered because of that Charizard play. Wrong place, wrong time, and Yoshi did a great job there. Now you have that Pokemon Trainer at 1 stock, which I think maybe is manageable. You have to see how you have your next player, and you go, hey, you just got to beat Pokemon Trainer, and we're going to be happy, and we'll be back down maybe 9-6 if you can't do the next one, but it'll be okay. Yeah. You are in a much better spot than you were after that first game. That Palutena play didn't work out last time, and now you're approaching it with a lighter mind. You're only down 10-9 at this point, and it could be definitely okay. You don't have to deal with that Pokemon Trainer as much, but you just have to get it off the field, and hopefully in 1 stock you get it off the field, because then you get to go reset, not have 700% damage in the next set. So we'll see how aggressive the Orange are here. Maybe bring out that Luigi early, but I'm assuming maybe it's going to get saved towards the end. Maybe DK here to try and match, but I wouldn't play DK here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the DK has the value against that Charizard, right? But this Pokemon Trainer player, obviously we've seen from Kansas, knows how to play that character. They just switched to the Squirtle there, and they're just going to put in so much pressure so early that DK won't be able to close the distance. However, we might see this Mii Brawler come back out, right? This Mii Brawler able to close that distance, able to play that light V light, and also keep the pressure on heavier characters in the game. You might see that Mii Brawler come back out for Syracuse, right? Just try to eliminate that stock and just see who Kansas is going to throw out next. I think you're right. You could throw out that Luigi, but also you may want to keep that Luigi for when Kansas throws out their Luigi, right? A little bit of a Luigi on Luigi action.
I'm going to put my most versatile character out there. I'm going to put the best player who I believe can do the most.
Yep.
And then I'm going to put the most capable person up, make sure they can beat Pokemon Trainer.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 qualifications for the next round I think you're looking for if you're the Orange hiring manager trying to get your next intern in for this slot here. But it's interesting because obviously that Luigi should probably come out later, and it's a game time situational thing. I mean, Pokemon Trainer's not going to be out there for long. Maybe you're saying maybe this Kansas team only has 4 players, and they know they can only play 4 characters. Yeah. It all comes down to your scouting, and if Kansas does have that scenario, it doesn't switch off here, goes right back into what they're doing, the Orange could get a comeback win here, but they first need to get this first round.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing, right? You have to just stay calm, stay collected the whole way through. You can't let yourself get too antsy, right? You know, you got to stay collected the whole way through, even if you are a stock ahead or a stock behind. I mean, even if you're 5 stocks ahead or 5 stocks behind, you've got to stay collected the whole way through. You got to keep putting on that show as you just continue through this competition here against Kansas. You know, we'll have to see what this coach determines to really send in next against Kansas. You know, like we said already, right? The advantage is you obviously know you're going to go up against a Pokemon Trainer. Disadvantage is now Kansas is going to know who you're going to throw out next.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, most versatile player, guy who can beat the most, guy who has the most percentage of the most likely field to be played covered, and I would like to see that Mii Brawler out here. We saw him take Kansas down 2 stocks that weren't there earlier, beat it in the right end, and went down to 9-6, unfortunately, just because they couldn't deal with the next character. But Mii Brawler goes down here, and Mii Brawler beats that 1 stock with 3 stocks. You're back even, and you're playing, I mean, at a disadvantage, sure, but you're not playing a down 9-6 advantage. You're playing a 9-9 disadvantage because you don't know what the other person throws out there, but we'll have to see. I'm just hoping we don't see Luigi too early. That's kind of what I'm thinking about now. I'm overthinking it a little bit. Luigi's been quite good, and I don't know if that's the anchor, if that's what it is, but we're going to see a Lucas out here. This is interesting. This is our first time seeing Lucas that's going to be Ado Bears.
Yeah, I mean, the player that we tend to see on that King DDD or that Min, I believe, is going to be the one out here. Obviously, right, Pokemon Trainer for that side of Kansas going to jump off a little bit. 2 SDs to even themselves back up. Taunts will start it out, and Lucas going to be the choice of pick for Syracuse here, and trying to find that connection. Obviously, when it comes down to it, you're going to see a lot of this, probably Squirtle going to be that main one. Maybe the Ivysaur is a little bit as well, as they're just going to look to more go light on light rather than putting in that heavy early on. And I mean, as we see that, we are going to go ahead and see it's relatively even right now. Both these players looking for the value as they can. If you're Kansas, right, 1 stock is really all you're looking for. If you're Syracuse, you're looking for 1 stock as well.
It comes down to that, yes, but Ivysaur is going to be, I think, the main favorite of, I guess, Kansas on this end as we see it right back up top and goes down again. Can't do much, unfortunately, there. And Syracuse going to be on the disadvantage even if they get this next stock. 64% for Kansas. This is a very well-played game by this Pokemon trainer who has just been pestering the Orange, and they've forced them to play behind all game. Lucas just not able to, I guess, close that distance. It's a very similar distance that these two characters play at, but they need to get this win here. PK Free off the edge, playing the edge guard. Ivysaur playing right into it there. Moving him back off stage, and now Syracuse on the disadvantage as they just kind of hang around the right side and knocking that percentage up. They need to get Neelam now if you're the Orange.
Yeah, I mean, Lucas and Ness, both these characters, very, very difficult characters to play, right? Their combos are so incredibly difficult to really master, and they're also very, very sort of self-destructive, right? You have to be careful on how you play them. Right now, Syracuse is trying to find their way to get those combos in, but they haven't quite been able to do it. And, I mean, you're seeing 139% here. The switch to the Charizard, very well played from Kansas, will send another stock down for Syracuse, right? Carson, you and I were talking, right? You don't want to be down 9-6 here, but you may be down 10-6 if you can't find your way back into this.
And this Pokemon trainer is going to go down as Lucas clobbers him off that right side. Still disadvantage for the Orange, but you got it done in the end, and it might have taken 2 stocks, not what you were hoping for, but now you got to go in there and see what you can do. Lucas going to be in the same situation that the Pokemon trainer was in now with 1 stock.
Yep.
And just kind of have to hope that they can play into the next one. And that's the tough part about not being able to switch your guys in between rounds. I wish you could play it like Pokemon. That'd be really funny. So maybe we get like a Pokemon screen with everybody's characters on it and see what you can switch in, switch out. But no, Lucas will have to play whatever the Jayhawks force them to play. Now you're in an interesting spot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's very likely that we'll see the Daisy come back out for Kansas, right? Very powerful player. They played them around that 2nd or 3rd spot last time, right, as well. So, you know, likely going to see that Daisy come out again. You can play up against that Ness. You can get close and personal, or you can stay far away at distance, right? Use those turnips to your advantage. So I'm curious to see who Kansas throws in, right? If you are Syracuse, you know, you're down that member. You're down 2 stocks there as well. So, I mean, best case scenario, you take all 3 stocks out, right? I mean, even if you can only take 2 stocks out, right?
Yeah.
Well, best case scenario, you take the next 9 stocks out. But, you know, you want to make this as even as possible for your next teammate, right? It sounds very, you know, obvious to say, right? You know, yeah, of course you want to be, you know, 4 stocks up. Yeah, you know, obviously, right? Clearly. But, you know, there is a lot of, like, just sometimes it really isn't about making it like, oh, you want to stay 4 stocks ahead. Sometimes it really is just about making it a little bit more comfortable, right? A big thing in all of esports is mental, right? And being down 4 stocks compared to being down 1 stock, I mean, yeah, it's closer, but also you're going to feel better about it, right? You may be down all game, but you finally get closer. We saw that at the end of match 1 last match 2. You know, they were down 2-3 stocks, and they were only down 1. They still ended up falling short, but you could tell they felt a little bit better on that Yoshi especially.
Yeah, and Yoshi saw the opening there and unfortunately couldn't get it done against Pokemon Trainer. Despite having that high percentage, just couldn't get it done in that right spot. That Pokemon Trainer was electric and still and is probably the reason Kansas is ahead in that first game and is the reason that Kansas is ahead again now. Plays at the other disadvantage. Orange are now playing on the back heels, kind of corner of the ring right now, trying to avoid a knockout punch. And then you've got Mike Tyson, Daisy, coming in here, and could be the wrong perspective for the Orange, but it's up to Kansas. Maybe they try something new, and maybe it doesn't go well, is what the Orange are really hoping.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you know, that Pokemon trainer, electric and no electric types, but able to find some tremendous value there against Syracuse. And, I mean, now you're going to play this Lucas into likely a Daisy, right? Maybe Luigi comes out early for the side of Kansas. You don't really know, right? That's really up to them to decide and how they want to play this next up. But we'll have to see what ends up going in next, right? As Syracuse is just sort of working through what they want to do, right? Working through how they want to take this next matchup here against Kansas. Is they're taking some time, right? Taking some time to think out who they want to go and put in next. Like you said, Carson, there is a potentiality that there are only 4 players for Kansas, right? Syracuse, they have 1, 2, I believe 6 players at their disposal to use as they so choose. So 2 extra players to sort of mess around with, and a couple of these players having 2 to 3 characters in their roster, right? So very, very different perspective, right, for Syracuse, as we are going to see the Daisy come out here. 2 stocks will fall for Syracuse to even it back up. Then just like that, the taunt will start it off, and Syracuse will look to even this back up.
Yeah, and some news down the wire. Kansas goes up 2-1 in terms of team score. defeat the Orange and Rocket League 3-1. Back to Smash, though. Lucas on the other side, trying to get down from 3-1 in the stocks. To go on the other side, that's some great damage off rip, and you really need to try and at least get one stock off this Daisy, but it'll come down to whatever they play here, and Daisy's a really good edge guarder, especially against Lucas. It's going to be a tough situation, but hopefully this Lucas has got some experience against Daisy, and we're seeing that there. Playing really different than they did last time, a lot more aggressive, and seems a lot more comfortable against this Daisy.
Well, absolutely, right? We're seeing a lot more aggression come out from Syracuse right now, and it's playing really well for them, right? They're forcing the close combat with this Daisy, and this Daisy is still trying to find their way, find their opening. A lot of Smash is just who can find the opening, who can adapt faster. Right now, Syracuse has the opening. Daisy can't quite find it. They don't need to find any adaptation yet. They're doing a good job. The edge guard is coming out as well. This Lucas is comfortable on the edge and is doing a very, very good job here. Looks to track with the ball, but can't quite find the connect. And now this Daisy looking for something in return.
Really good start was just mauling the Daisy, but now a bit of a disadvantage here. You have to try and at least get it off here. You're a light character. Daisy's a bit heavier. It comes down to just whatever you can do here on the edge here. Not a great spot. Lucas playing stuck on that edge.
And just like that, barely survives, but will be perfectly fine there, is now both these characters in that near ending area of percentage, but Daisy will lose a stock. It's great for Syracuse to see, right? Obviously, you still want to keep that forward. Maybe try to find one more if you can. Needs to find their way back up, but won't be able to. Recovery on Lucas. A very difficult recovery, very powerful recovery. Not able to find it, though, and Syracuse will lose that member as well. Obviously, Syracuse, knowing they're going to be going up against that Daisy next, and may see the DK come back in just for an early prediction. Syracuse still down 2 stocks here. Need to find their way back into this match.
Yeah, really aggressive. Look down at the bottom there. Tried to go across, just wrong angle slightly with that Lucas Electro Ball PK Thunder.
Yeah, there you
Dang.
go. There you go.
I played Earthbound. You kind of are playing aggressive. You've got nothing to lose at this point. Your back is against the wall with, at this point, you have a Daisy that's up against you 8-6 now, right?
Yeah, believe so.
8-6. Bang.
Quick pass.
Quick cast. It's really interesting, especially with Daisy. Daisy is a very tough character to beat, and the Orange don't really have a direct counter. Looking at the charts, you have characters that can play well against Daisy, and it's going to come down, I think, more to the player you choose at this point. And we'll have to see how the Orange can do, but you're playing, essentially, you're discussing, do we want to put the player that can beat Daisy or the character that can beat Daisy, and do those things overlap? Hopefully they do for the side of the Orange at this point.
Yeah, I mean, so far we haven't, I mean, obviously we're only on this Daisy here. We haven't seen the other 2 players for Kansas, but right now, nothing has changed, right? We saw the Pokemon trainer into Daisy, potentially into Olimar next, and then finally finishing off with Luigi. If that is the case for Kansas, right, if that's what Syracuse is sort of thinking through in their own heads right now, right, then there's a potential perspective that you throw in DK here. You look to even it up with Daisy, and then you keep your Luigi for that Luigi versus Luigi in that final stock. And that is possibly what could happen, right? That is possibly what Bart could be thinking about going through with this, or maybe you throw in your Luigi early, right? DK heavier target can really take in a lot more of that percentage, and though there is that 0 to 100, you also can 40%. Punch someone off the map if you have to go up against that Luigi later on. So maybe you throw in your Luigi against your Daisy.
Absolutely, and I guess if you would want to go Luigi, it's kind of, you're expecting that Luigi. You know that Luigi is very, very good.
Yeah.
Beats your ace for the first game. How are you going to approach that? And the answer is Luigi. With Daisy right here, we're going to see something different maybe at the end, and I think I would have expected initially. I thought the Orange were going to keep Luigi out and just try and Luigi diff, but we are seeing a bit of a different option here. As we start this left side, try and see if we can get that combo. That's what the Orange are hoping for. Just a very quick matchup against this Daisy. Try and get rid of it instantly. It's obviously going to be tough. Bit of team colors there for the first time we're seeing from the Orange. Luigi in an unfamiliar burgundy, I'd call it. Not quite. No, it's orange. It's definitely orange. I don't know why I said that. Burnt orange. That's what I was going for. Bang. Got it.
There you go. I mean, burgundy, orange, they're not particularly
similar.
close
No.
at all, but, you know, that's okay. That's okay. At the end of the day, though, Syracuse colors coming out for the side of Syracuse, and Daisy is orange, so I guess we got a lot of Syracuse colors here. So already, right, we're going to see this, both these characters starting off a little bit even in terms of this percentage here. This Luigi looking for that connection, looking to maybe just do an early 0 to 100 here, but this Daisy knows that it is exactly what Syracuse is looking for here and is looking to be very careful here. Sarvi, your Luigi player, we saw many times last semester pull off some of the fantastic 0 to 100 move and combo sets. Now we need to see if they can do it again.
Just a bit of a struggling. You're seeing that grab being obviously the big piece of Luigi's kit, the suction cup plunger thing that he's shooting out. It's a big part of Luigi's kit, and you're going to see it just kind of mashed by every Luigi player, and you're seeing that again here. It's a crucial part to how Luigi plays the game, and without hitting that, you're never going to win. And Daisy doing a good job keeping the distance that she needs to and keeping Luigi out of this match almost essentially. You've still got a match on the stocks with how we started. Luigi had a higher percentage. They're about the same weight, so it's going to come down to just about here, a bit more conservatism from the orange is what you'd expect to see, but still an extreme level of aggression from that Luigi when it needs to be there.
Yeah, and this Luigi looking for that connection with the plumber. Can't quite find it, though, as the turn up the toad will send Luigi off. Not great for Syracuse, right? You're trying to find a way to even this back up, but now you're down 3 stocks again here. A great connect will come in, though, off the edge for the side of Syracuse. 0% to 0%. Syracuse looking to just send this Daisy off, and we know it's possible, right? We know it's very, very possible for Sardi, for this Luigi, for Syracuse to find a 0 to 100 and just end this in a matter of seconds, but that plumber needs to connect to get it started.
For the orange, that would be the best case scenario, obviously, but you just need to hit a plunger, and Daisy is currently levitating above Luigi and kicking him in the face. So not easy. Daisy's a very tough character to pull this off on. I think the orange are hoping that they can get this out with 2 stocks, and it's a bit of a reaction game from this other team's Daisy, who is, again, doing that thing where they levitate at head level and bash your face in.
Yeah, I mean, they're just looking to poke in that pressure on that percentage, right? We're seeing it from the Daisy, and it's doing such an incredible job, right? This Luigi can't quite close the distance, something we've said so many times already tonight, Carson, and it really has been the difference maker, right? We haven't been seeing crazy things yet, but the combo is going in, but they can't quite find the full connect to send them off the stage. But like I was saying here, Carson, right, as the edge guard is going to happen here, both shields come out, someone could look for a grab, but no one's going to find the connect.
Yeah, Luigi, bit of a tough situation there, has to roll and grab, then just pray that Daisy doesn't grab first. Does a good job keeping themselves alive, but they're still off stage. Really need to get a connect here. Don't want to go down. That's a turn-up hit. Barely able to keep it alive with the up. Is off the stage again. This Daisy is a tough edge defender, and it's going to be enough, I think. I don't think they would have caught it if she didn't get hit there.
Yeah, Luigi, though, taking the turnip, can't quite find the connect. It's just a battle on the edge guard here, but there it is. The tornado will send it, but the Daisy going to stay in for this one here. The Luigi not able to find quite that full connection. A nice shot goes in, but like I said, this Daisy staying still floating around the map, still looking for some good percentage here, but Luigi can't quite find the one in the air, sends him down again. Tornado doesn't connect.
Goodness, I hit the Luigi pose. I thought that one was so over. And a great end. Oh, there! I was expecting a bit of a big hit at the end there. Luigi misses it, and they fly off the edge, and Daisy goes off at 2 stocks. That was a very good turn from the orange. That is exactly what they were hoping for. I mean, obviously hoping for 3 stocks, but now you're playing less down, and that's what the Pokemon trainer does. Forces you to play at a disadvantage, but now you're with the Luigi. Your Luigi is good. You're comfortable with your Luigi. You know what's going to come out later. I'm sure if you've put the Luigi out, you know what's going to come out to play their Luigi. And I think you're hoping at this point that you can play their Luigi unless they play their Luigi here.
I have to think through all of that again. It's like whenever you say, my great uncle's stepbrother's father-in-law's son.
I was
it's
going
like,
for that.
What? You did great. You really confused me there, Carson. But you're right. Out of what I did understand from that, there's potential that Kansas throws out their next Luigi, right? They throw out that Luigi player, look to even the series back up again. Obviously, Syracuse, good way to start this one back off or start to bring this one back in their favor, right? Seeing what they can get away with. But, I was mentioning it there for a second before things are getting chaotic. We have talked a lot. We've mentioned it a lot of times about finding that space and closing that space. A lot of times, last semester we didn't see it too much, right? It was either long range or it was just close, right? There really weren't too many characters that we saw that played both, really, or I guess I should say our players and the other team's players didn't like to flexize. Is that a word? I'm gonna make it a word.
Play flex.
Play flex. Yeah. The
Be
flexibility.
flexible?
Be flexible.
Is
Yeah.
the-
I could have just used the basic verb of the
guy.
word, but I'm here on desk talking about Smash, right?
We're here
I'm
on
not
desk
not in
talking
a
about
grammar
Smash.
class.
Not in grammar class.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm trying to say here, Carson, is when it comes to this space, right? It is truly been the difference maker in this match so far. Is whoever can find the ability to close that space and go in and take that fight the way that they want to, especially a lot of these more brawly characters. The Luigi wants to go in, close that space. The Daisy wanted to as well, but they know that a lot of these characters, right? Some of them are respecting it too, right? Kansas and Syracuse have both played passive at times, sort of not letting them close that space so that they don't have to worry about those combos.
Yeah, and when the Orange are put at space and kind of put away from what they want to do, it's been the Jayhawks just clobbering them. Kansas has done a great job at keeping that space. We saw that with the Daisy. That Daisy did not get what they were hoping for out of that. Just one more stock out of that high percentage, but it went down to the wire there, and because Daisy was playing so well at space, levitating and kicking Luigi in the face. That did not mean that to rhyme. But
Dr. Seuss, how are you? Good to meet you.
I'm not Dr. Seuss. But it comes down to that, and Syracuse has done not a great job closing that space, and it's because Kansas has just done a great job. I don't think Syracuse has been bad. It is what I'm saying is just Kansas is great. They've taken it to the top teams in this bracket. They've clearly shown they have. They're 3-1 in their last 4, really putting it together finally for this Jayhawks team. And it'd be great for Syracuse to try and find a win here and try and find a comeback win against a team who's hot.
Yeah, it really is, right? To take them out, right? I mean, that also makes Syracuse this week against Kansas 2-2 in the records, right? Like you were saying earlier, Rock Lake did fall 3-1, and then Overwatch fell 3-2, right? So it would be nice to see if Syracuse even up the series against Kansas here. Olimar is the pick for Kansas here, and there goes the even of the stock here, and the taunt will come out here in a second. There it is, starting off the match, the gentleman's agreement, and here it goes. 2 very, very light characters going up against each other here. 3 members left. Syracuse only at a 1 stock deficit.
Look, this could be huge for the Orange here if Luigi can find it. You don't really have to go to 0 to 100 with Olimar, more like 0 to 3. In terms of how far that combo has to go, you don't have to do the full combo. You can transition it into something else, and you don't have to hit the whole thing, but really going well for Olimar here. Has a big chance for the Orange to move ahead, and that grab misses, and we've got 6 to 95% already. Olimar is dominating Luigi in all facets right now.
Yeah, I mean, this Olimar is just not letting this Luigi play the way that Syracuse wants to play this Luigi, right? Playing at distance, playing to the Pikmin advantage, right? I mean, Kansas doing a very good job with this Olimar here. And, I mean, Syracuse, once again, trying to close that space, trying to find their way back in, something we were just talking about here, Carson. And, I mean, this Olimar is just keeping so much pressure in, 150%. This Luigi is really only a hit away. And as I say that, there it is, this Olimar, beautifully well done. A lot of pressure, a lot of just poke percentage, one of the strengths of Olimar. And just like that, another stock takeaway from Syracuse.
There's the hit, and Luigi really has to put the best foot forward here for the Orange. This is a big stock right here, and losing this matchup would be devastating. Especially not taking a stock off would be devastating because you're playing down 3-6 and basically have your ace go beat 2 players on the other team right now at a disadvantage. But we'll have to see if Luigi can get that together. Luigi is just really struggling on that offstage, and a big clobbering there from Luigi, but saves Olimar. Kind of.
a lot happened there on the edge there in midair, and things can happen like that sometimes. Both these characters, though, kind of one hit away from that knockout. They're both very light characters, and there's the hits! But the knockout won't find, and just like that, Syracuse still trying to find the value they can. They don't want to lose this other stock. They want to try to still keep it at that deficit, and they will do so. Still back to that 1 stock deficit here as Syracuse finds a nice hit onto this Olimar. They still want to try to find their lead here. And the recovery is safe. The recovery was good. The remainder of the recovery, not so much.
Not so much.
Not so much.
0% there from Olimar. Luigi was at 144. Not much. Could have been done by the green-hatted plumber or orange-hatted plumber in that scenario. Good job from Luigi there to recover it after that tough first stock, but unfortunately couldn't put it together fast enough there. And big disadvantage for the Orange now.
Yeah, I mean, now you are at a larger disadvantage than where you were last map, right? Now you are at a 5 stock disadvantage, right? And Kansas will know exactly who you're going to put in next, right? Well, they won't know until you obviously put them in, but they're going to know, assuming you beat this next person for the side of Kansas. So not great spot for Syracuse, right? Typically, your anchors for Syracuse, the Luigi and the Yoshi, not going to be in, right? Now, there is a possibility, right, that we are going to see maybe the DK come out here. That is a very possible scenario for Syracuse, right? We already saw the DK once already, and, maybe to put them in next, maybe we see the Min come in. There are possibilities, like we were saying, Syracuse has 6 players to work with and probably collectively maybe 9 or 10 characters to work with. So Syracuse has some capabilities here, but you're going to go up against Luigi, and now you need to determine you're likely going to be going up against probably, or you're going against Olimar first, and then likely Luigi next.
You know what I want to see? I want to see someone that can really craft a win, somebody who can really forge through iron, coal, and diamond. Get there no matter what. Not Alex. I want Steve. I want Steve in there. I want Steve to go in there and win this match. I love Minecraft characters in Smash. It is unreal that this is a real thing that can go on there, and did completely break them out. I believe he's banned in most competitive formats, correct?
Yeah, they're for most competitions, you see a GA on Steve to not have him played. But unfortunately, Carson, your dreams not going to quite come true for this match right here. DK going to come in and slam Carson's dreams for Syracuse, as they are going to play for this heavier character right now. I will say this: the good thing is Syracuse, if you're going up against the Olimar and then likely the Luigi, only a couple hits and your DK is going to find some good stocks. Bad side though, you hit hard but you hit slow, right? The characters you're about to go up against are going to hit fast.
And Olimar's not really a light hitter either. Olimar gets DK up to 47% with 3 hits. Very quick succession there. Playing a similar stock matchup, obviously, with the orange. You need to minimize damage here. Playing damage control. And my dream is to win at this point with this. This has been great from Donkey Kong. We saw him play earlier. It was really aggressive when they needed to be and got the combos off, and that punch specifically off when they needed to. See if he can get it together here. Maybe try and get 2 stocks for the price of 1 here. Maybe go down 3-2 when you're playing that last Luigi potentially, or whatever the Jayhawks throw out there.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to see. But, one of the biggest things, closing the space. The Olimar is not going to let that happen. Playing for those Pikmin, keeps digging them up, making it very difficult for Syracuse to close this space. But the punch comes in,
Bang.
and Olimar goes off. And just like that, Syracuse looking to keep this one even here. Best case scenario, you send this Olimar back to outer space once more, and you keep your stocks 3-3 for the final fight.
Interstellar right there for Olimar, and that is a real bad start for Donkey Kong on the other end. Just at basically kill percentage here when you're trying to get Olimar, but I mean, you can kill Olimar at any point here with Donkey Kong. This is a really heavy hitter, goes off stage, stays alive by some miracle. On the other end, Cuse, oh no, right the other, I thought he was going to miss that block there. Good recover from Donkey Kong, but has to stay alive here and just gets tossed up and ended over. Really wanted to get that, but now you got 3-2. If you go on, has to get this stock right here.
Yeah, this is going to be Milsharks, I believe, on this DK, looking to bring this back for Syracuse. And, down 1 stock, if you have to go in to that final matchup down 1 stock, that's not terrible, right? You may not feel great, but you're not uncomfortable. The punch goes in, and the Olimar goes off once more. And we are going to see 1 stock loss, like Carson just said. And now we're going to see 1 final matchup here, Syracuse on sudden death, and here we go here. DK going to be that player likely against Luigi.
Donkey Kong, really, really good. Has to play careful here. That Luigi played really, really well, and we saw that just a clobbering of that Yoshi at a certain point. Had all the space, took all the space they wanted to, and ate it up. Donkey Kong punishes that. If you take the space the wrong way, it could go really, really well for the Orange. It could go really, really well for the Jayhawks. We'll have to see, obviously, if Luigi's even played. We might just come out here and see like a Rob. And
that would be a total turn of what I would expect.
I want to see Rob.
You want to see Rob? You want to see Steve? I mean, I would not mind seeing... I wouldn't mind seeing a Donkey Kong versus Donkey Kong, or maybe typically, I guess Donkey Kong and Luigi would be the sort of basic matchup that you would have to pick, just off basic Nintendo.
Would be Mario?
Yes, that would be the other plumber, Mario, right? I was thinking Daisy and Luigi, and I just...
It's okay.
Ignore me, right? But like you were saying, right? there is a possibility that, we're predicting Luigi. Bart, the coach, may also be predicting Luigi. Everyone watching may be predicting a Luigi, except for Kansas. They may be like, well, actually, we're going to throw out Steve just for Carson. We've been listening. We want to throw out Steve just for Carson. And, if that's the case, well, I guess we're going to see a Steve. And frankly, Carson, I've never casted over a Steve, so that would be very interesting for me.
Yeah, I really don't understand. I've actually played like many hours of Steve at this point, and I don't really understand what's happening when I'm playing the character. It's quite an unreal experience, which is how you're building. It's an entirely different thing that is not like anything else in this game. You're playing something completely strange, and we're not going to see a Steve, unfortunately. We'll get a Luigi, get exactly what we expected. But Kansas, the known is the unknown. You haven't seen this DK play this Luigi yet, but could go very well.
Yeah, very much so. And, maybe potentially Carson, you and I will have a 1v1 on Steve, and we'll just figure him out on broadcast. But, we'll have to see. That's not my job. I'm just here to talk. Carson's just here to talk. We'll figure that out later. The taunt starts it off. Syracuse down 1 stock. Syracuse down 1 match, looking to bring themselves back up in this best-of-3 series. Kansas looking to close it and go home tonight. And starting off, we're going to be a little bit on the back foot, will be Syracuse.
Yeah, and trying to keep Luigi out of the space there is Donkey Kong doing a pretty good job, but Luigi's just able to take that space. We're seeing just playing really exceptionally in the other end and knows exactly what the distance should be. Doesn't want to encroach on Donkey Kong. Just playing that distance, throwing those fireballs, just doing everything they can to get as much poke damage as they can before they go in and try and get this combo off or something of the like on the Donkey Kong. Misses, unfortunately, the up air there. Nearly a KO from the Donkey Kong, but nearly gets KO themselves on the other end. And that punch is missed right into Luigi and right into the up B. Clobbered, unfortunately, as Donkey Kong goes down 3-1.
Yeah, and that is one of the things you have to keep in mind, right? Obviously, the DK wants to play close, so does Luigi, right? Luigi is going to find those 0 to 100s if you play close range, so playing kind of in the hands of each other. But the grab goes off, tries to find the connect. The Luigi going to look to send themselves back up, and just like that, they won't be able to find it, and Syracuse, just in time, will find another one here. Still down 1 stock at the moment. They're going to look to continue this one forward.
Going to need a really good start here from Donkey Kong. Can't let the Luigi go on too early, but just has to get a crazy combo or something goes really right here for the Donkey Kong. Saw that grab move for the first time from this Donkey Kong, who's played a lot of Smash 10. I think maybe the most stocks taken off of anybody how much they played. As they go up nearly out immediately. That is a great hit from Luigi back in front. This could go very wrong. Up to 100% in the up B. Well,
there it is. You hate to see it, but also you gotta respect it, right? Luigi's very light characters going up against characters like the DKs, like the heavy characters in the map. You gotta respect when they can pull off those crazy move sets. 87%, 0 to 100. Beautifully well done, beautifully well executed from Kansas tonight. Syracuse falling short only by a couple stocks. Very close matchups both times, but unfortunately Syracuse will fall tonight to Kansas.
Yeah, the orange losing streak extends to 4, but not a lot of bad things to go on there. You can definitely learn from this. Kansas is a good team. Kansas is definitely a good team. They've beaten the top team on the table, the second team on the table flat out. This is a team that you played well against, and you can raise your head and say, we took this team to the end. We never didn't go against the race. We saw that Luigi twice. There's stuff to learn from here, and this team played well, and I think this could go in the right direction. Syracuse falls 3-5, but still a lot of 6 more weeks before Vegas.
Absolutely right. A lot of time to go. This was only week 1 of the Power Esports Conference. Some of the best schools playing in this conference here, and this week, Kansas does take the overall victory against Syracuse, going 3-1 overall. Overwatch losing 2-3 on Tuesday. Yeah, I know. Wednesday, though, Valorant coming back strong with a beautiful 2-0 victory. Thursday night tonight, Rocket League fell short 1-3, and then Smash fell short 0-2 here tonight. But at the end of the day, that's Kansas for us this week. Next week, I believe, is Ohio State, so one of those other sort of borderline middle-ranked teams right now outside of the powerhouses, the mitochondrias of the PEC of Boise State and Michigan State. We'll have to see what that is there, Carson.
Mitochondria powerhouse of the PEC. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. It's a per-team basis. This Smash Bros. Team from Ohio State is very talented. They can go out there and probably play top table, maybe make it towards the end of Vegas, but Rocket League's going to have a bit of an easier chance on that other side, playing not as good of a team in terms of who they've been playing, has been playing really top table, now going back down. It's going to be varying every week because some weeks you're going to be playing teams that you can beat. Some teams you're going to. There's weeks where you can beat anybody. You can beat anybody. That's flat out. Sorry,
beat anyone at any time.
Flat out. But there's some weeks where you got to play Boise State, and those weeks can be tough. Boise State is the most mentally prepared people I've ever seen. They're very ready to be in there, and Orange have taken them in every single game and brought them close. Valorant got 2-0'd, but it was close every time. 13-11 on both of those games. Saw Valorant took that win in that week 1 over Boise State. The first week of the program in the PEC, we saw them, and we'll see them again later. We'll see these other teams towards the top again, and it's going to be great, and I'm very, very excited for what the Syracuse teams hold. Every single one of these teams has huge potential to unlock.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Broncos, you may look good now, but in week 3, when Syracuse Orange are ready to fight you, we'll be prepared and we'll be ready to go. But that'll wrap it up for us here on the desk tonight, for us here for week number 1 of the Power Esports Conference. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to tune in next week for Ohio State. So wherever you may be, morning, evening, or afternoon, we'll see y'all next time.